All right, before we get back to the insiders, Rodney, let's talk about Mid South Wrestling episode 2.
You got me. Wait a second. I got me flip it. Let me flip it back. We are, yes, episode 268. We open up the program with Bill Watts and Boyd Pierce, and the Louisiana State Fair is that particular week. And this would be in October, around October the 25th, 1984. And again, 1984, one of the biggest years ever for Mid-South Wrestling. In the beginning of the show, Bill Watts announces that Terry Taylor would be off for the next month. Apparently, something had happened with his spleen. I kind of remember the story. Don't know the details, but I do remember Taylor being gone due to some incident with his spleen. He talks about the rules for just a second, Bill Watts does, and he says, some people are getting upset with us because of the way we're enforcing the rules, but we have to do it, and we have to do it. Then they have an interview with Steve Williams about the football helmet match that he's going to have with Jim Duggan later on in the hour. And then Watts talks about Duggan's football career, and then they have the answer interview with Jim Duggan. We go to a break. We come back with an interview with Akbar and Buddy Landell, and Akbar is making his announcement that he is back. And he's going to create a brand new army, and he's here to take over like Mid-South, like no time before. And Landell is joining Akbar's army in that, and Buddy Landell is promising that he's going to deliver a special prize, and that's something that's been building for quite some time. Bill Watts has alluded to it, kind of hinted about it a few times through the match. Then in the first match, we had the missing link against Mike Jackson. Skandor Akbar had the headbutt from the top second rope. Link, we went over that. Well, Jack, what do you think about that one?
I thought it was a good match. I love watching Missing Link. I thought he was such a great character, and that physical conditioning, man, he was a wrestler apart from most back then.
It was a monster. Brent, what do you think about that?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Everything he did was great. And when he did that thing off that top rope and hit Mike Jackson in the back of that head, man, that looked awesome. It looked just like he killed him.
It was fantastic. Well, as I said, missing link over in that one. No really surprise. Mike Jackson, always great in everything he does. In the second match, it's our football helmet match with Steve Dr. Death Williams and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And Steve Williams, I think at this moment, comes into his own. He does one of the best interviews, forceful interviews that I think he's done since he's been there. He is asking, we're waiting on Jim Duggan. He's been wanting him all this time. He's got his football helmet on. Come on, Duggan, where you at? And then Duggan, we're still waiting. Waiting. And then from the front of the building comes Ted DiBiase. And DiBiase says, I just had a fight in the parking lot. Jim Duggan attacked me in the parking lot, but I was able, because of my tremendous conditioning, was able to sidestep him and hit him with one punch and knock him out. So he's a drunken bum laying out in the parking lot. So he's not going to be here for this match. And I got you, Steve Williams, a souvenir. So he hands him the football helmet, Duggan's football helmet. And he said, well, and I'm just here to tell you, I'm back. I'm here to stay. And if you want Duggan, he's out there in the ditch somewhere. So they leave. Bill Watts says, well, we're going to have to go to a commercial. We'll try to find out and try to investigate. They come back from commercial. Bill Watts says, we have found Jim Duggan. He's in pretty bad shape. We're going to get more about this a little bit later on in the program. So now we have an interview with Cornette. The Rock and Roll, Cornette says that the Rock and Roll up to this point has refused to wrestle them. So now he's got a check. He sent to his mother, and she forwarded a check for $25,000 for the Rock and Roll Express for any type of match that they would like to have. And so the Rock and Roll Express is able to pick the match, any stipulation. So it comes back so now the Cornette has made his offer for the $25,000 versus the Mid-South Tag Team Championship held by the Rock and Roll Express. We come back with match number 3. It's Butch Reed against Brickhouse Brown. Jack, I'll throw it to you at this point.
I think we've lost his audio.
Oh, it was so amazing that we lost Jack's audio. Hold on, Jack. You'll catch up here in just a second. Brent, let me pass off to you real quick. What do you think's going on here in this match?
All I know is Ron West. He's coming back. I see that.
I see. Yeah, he was kind of.
He'll come back.
He'll back.
I found that Ronnie West, the referee of the match, was very upset during this match with Brickhouse Brown. He was telling them, "Get back in there, get on him, get on him,
get him." He was wanting to be aggressive. He was wanting to do something, and then do his little celebration. Oh yeah. It started from the time that he went out to the floor, and when he went out to the floor, they were yelling at him. Him and Reed both, I noticed, was yelling at Brown right off the bat. Grab his leg, and it was Jack. What was your impressions of this match here? Oh, he froze.
He froze up again.
It was so amazing. Anyway, in the end,
am I froze again?
Are you there? Oh, we're sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those things, technical difficulties. We try to get you.
I'm in and out.
Okay.
I'm
there you
in
go.
and
You're
out.
back.
You're back now. All right, Rodney, go ahead.
Anyway, Brown in the end misses. Brown misses a top rope.
Yeah, it was.
We lost him again.
Oh, yeah, well, that happens. Well, anyway, in the end, it's Brown missing a drop kick from the top, from the second rope, and then it is Butch Reed moving in with the gigantic gorilla slam, and then we go to commercial, come back. It's Jim Duggan all busted up against the barricades, and he makes the announcement that he doesn't know what happened. DiBiase, all he knew, he didn't know who all hit him. He thinks that a blackjack was involved, and that the only person that he could recognize in all of this was Ted DiBiase. And so DiBiase is definitely back, and of course he describes Duggan describes this whole situation. Britt, would you like to comment on this?
I just thought the thing, even back then, even at the time it was going on, I remember this was in 1983. I was probably 13, 14 years old, and I just said, man, this is the hokiest interview I've ever heard in my life. It just did not work for me. I'm sorry. It's if I was one of the hosts on America's Got Talent, I would have gave him the X on that one. I wasn't a fan of that at all. Jackie, you're around. Did you see that interview? I think he's still.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm just. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I agree. I agree on the interview. I didn't buy it either.
Yeah, it was a little much. They would have been better off by sending the camera out in the parking lot, as far as I'm concerned, and leaving the description of what happened to next week for Discovery for next week. But people like to take ideas and make them their own, and this is what happens when you allow people to take ideas and make them their own. Then match number 4, one of the most controversial, talked about matches, I think, involving our good friend and one of our favorites here, the big cat, Ernie Ladd. This match is for the North American Heavyweight Championship, the champion, Magnum TA against Ernie Ladd. And I'm going to tell you right now, during the match, and I don't understand it. I will never, for the life of me, understand it. But every time there's an important match, Bill Watts decides it is opportunity to talk about everything except what's going on in the ring. And I cannot, and I will never understand that as long as I live. It basically devalues what you're trying to get in the ring at the point. But that's my opinion. Anyway, in the match, Magnum TA and Ernie Ladd going back and forth. TA ended up with a second rope drop kick. And as he goes in to hit Ladd with the drop kick, Ladd falls back into Fergie. Fergie goes down. And then he goes for the pin. TA has him down for the pin. He gets the referee. Referee counts 1, 2. He powers out. Ladd kicks out. Then it's TA grabbing a headlock. Ernie Ladd shoots him into Carl Fergie. Fergie goes on the outside of the ring. While the referee is out, Ernie Ladd goes into his tights, pulls out a rope, and begins to strangle and put Magnum TA out. Our father, Ron West, is down to help Carl Fergie. And while this was all happening, finally Ladd takes the rope off. The referee backs. It's at this point, it's not Dad. It wasn't Carl. It was Dad getting in the ring. Ron West gets in the ring. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Ernie Ladd picks up Magnum TA and then acts like he stumbles and he falls on top of him. The referee goes down 1, 2. Ladd kicks out. Then he comes up and drops 2, not 1, but 2 double leg drops on TA. And then he goes for the pin. 1, 2, 3. And Ernie Ladd becomes the new North American champion. And the people in that arena and that Irish McDowell Boys Club is not happy. They are not happy. But Ernie Ladd, in fact, is the new North American champion. Jack, what did you think about this? All right.
I think my internet's dying.
Your internet needs live support. Brent, what did you think about this?
I loved it. Everything about it. The finish was magnificent. Everything about the whole match I enjoyed. It was well put together. The match made sense. Tremendous, just tremendous match. I would like to see a match like that today. It was just great.
And it took months. Ladd did not just come right in and knock him off. It took a minute. It took a while, and he used his smarts, as they said, to pull that off. Absolutely fantastic. Next, we have an interview with the Rock and Roll Express, and as previously talked about, the $25,000. So now Rock and Roll has their special stipulation that they want to do. So they have a straight jacket, and they're going to keep Cornette. Cornette cost them the match in the cage match where they had to leave Mid-South. He's been interfering. So they're going to put Jim Cornette in a straight jacket, and there's no way he's going to get out. So Robert Gibson decides they're going to demonstrate how you can't escape. He can't pull out anything, and he's going to put the straight jacket on Robert Gibson. Well, the people, as he's latching it up, the people in the audience are already screaming, "No, don't do it, don't do it," because as he gets him all latched up, here comes Bobby and Dennis and Cornette, and they do a number on Robert Gibson and Ricky Morton. They have, of course, Robert is all tied up. Cornette's laying on top of him, slapping him in the face. Dennis Condrey pile drives Ricky Morton, and then from the top rope goes Bobby Eaton. Dennis Condrey puts him in the Boston Crab and a knee drop off the top rope from Bobby Eaton. The people are hot. Finally, we have the wrestlers coming in to make the save, and they're out of there. Just absolutely fantastic. And again, they've been in for it. They have been in for it. There's no doubt about it for that particular night. Jack, can you comment on this one?
Well, I can try. I thought it was awesome. I loved everything they did.
I will tell you, this was my story because we were there. We were there live while it was going on, and I can remember what the fans was saying in the crowd because we were sitting with them, and I can remember them going, "How stupid are the Rock and Roll Express?" I mean, that was what they were saying.
Yeah, they said that's dumb. Yeah, they were saying it.
Stupid. This was stupid of them. They were saying, "Don't do it." They were yelling at them, "Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it." I just remember that as being a major thing. They would say, "Oh, these people are just stupid," and it did not, it did not return the big crowds like they had before. I think because that was such a crazy thing to do. I mean, I understood why they did it. They were trying to get heat and build it up and make it.
Well, and then they had the matches. I don't know how he did it, but Cornette was actually put in the straitjacket, and then actually he was put on a cable and strung from the top of the arena. And he had to sit there, and he said his legs would go to sleep while he was in that straitjacket. I would have suffocated. I would have absolutely suffocated and had a panic attack, because we're not talking about he was a little bit off the ground where he could see the ring. No, he was way up. They put him way up. I remember the show at the Rapides Parish Coliseum in Alexandria, and I mean, he was not low, and he kept saying that he had to put that. And for me, I would have stuck somebody else in that mask, since he was wearing the mask, and have him come from the opposite side of the building. But that's just me. But that's because when you're watching these things, you are inspired. This stuff is not. This is well thought out, and it inspires you to also think. And that was what, even back then, that's what we thought should happen.
Yes.
In match number 5, it's the return of Ted DiBiase with the General Skandor Akbar to face Johnny Mantell. Jack, what did you think about the Ted DiBiase Johnny Mantell match?
I thought it was a good match. Really kind of disappointed that he comes back in and puts my hero Johnny Mantell down, but it was a good match. It was really, really put together well. Brett, what do you think about this one?
Oh yeah, it was a tremendous match. Ted DiBiase, everything he does is just spot on. Everything, there's nothing he does is bad. And so great match. It was just a great match, and it really didn't even hurt Johnny Mantell, because just the way they did it was it got them both over. So I like it.
Yeah, in the end, it was Johnny Mantell going for a monkey flip in one corner. He monkey flips Ted DiBiase out of the corner, goes for a second monkey flip. DiBiase catches the ropes. It's Mantell going back on his head. DiBiase comes down, drops a fist on his face, and then moves into the figure 4 leg lock as Ted DiBiase. They end the show with DiBiase at the desk with the mic, telling everybody that he's here. Of course, DiBiase, always great. Next week on the program, we're going to have the missing link against Magnum TA, and Mid-South Television title match, Adrian Street against Bill Dundee. Tremendous show.
Yeah, I thought it was magnificent. And by the way, Terry Taylor had a wreck, if you remember, and the seatbelt is what messed up his spleen or something, and that's how he got hurt, and he was out for a month, because I can remember saying, well, this is the one time he'd been better off he didn't have the seatbelt on.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Well, he might have went through the windshield if he didn't have it.
This is true, but because that had to be very much powerful
impact,
not to impact him, and it messed his spleen up. But I do remember him having a wreck, and it was actually the seatbelt that did it. I do remember that story. Yeah, pretty good.